The Assam police and central agencies on Thursday arrested 11 people, including 6 madrasa teachers, for alleged links to terror organizations Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent or AQIIs and the Bangladeshi-based Ansarullah Bangla team or the ABT. After the arrest, the Assam Chief Minister confirmed the arrest of 11 accused in the case and said that 700 madrasas have been shut in the state and the students have been sent to general schools. The move by the Chief Minister comes after the bust of the terror outfits, whose leadership has been traced to some madrasa teachers as well. Let's have a closer look at the terror module before we start this discussion. We have with us at this point in time Major General P.K. Sehgal, Global and Strategic Defence expert. Also joining us on the show is Mr. R.V.S. Mani, former Secretary, Internal Security. Mr. Ved Bhushan, former DCP, also joins us on the program. And last but by no means the least, Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian. And before that, let's also in fact take you through some of the people who've been arrested, what kind of a module were in place at this particular time in Assam, the terror nexus and how it really operated and basically used and, in some ways abused the madrasa system as well. 2 jihadi modules were in fact covered in this particular area of Barpeta and Moregaon at this point in time. You can see pictures of those people who have also been arrested from this particular module as well. The madrasas were actually a guise. They were in fact the front, a smoke screen for all these illegal activities. And we're also getting to know that a number of students were also in fact very slowly and gradually given some sort of a training as to how to be a part of these modules. 11 people have been arrested so far, and this is something which has been confirmed by the Chief Minister as well. Of the 11, 6 are madrasa teachers. So they are not just mere participants or people who are part of the administration of the madrasa, but they were actual teachers. So instead of imparting education, they were imparting tricks and trades of terror. The accused have alleged links to Al-Qaeda in Indian subcontinent and other parts of the country as well. Kerala is one state which always comes up when you talk about the Al-Qaeda or in fact even the ISIS having some sort of an influence, but Assam perhaps is dealing with this for the first time. The accused have alleged links to Bangladeshi-based Ansarullah Bangla team, which is the ATB, organization which has come up time and again when it has been updated that this is something which is prevalent in Bangladesh as well. Mustafa, alias Mufti Mustafa, is the key accused. He in fact was the center focal point who recruited these people, who in fact interviewed these people, also laid out a plan and a strategy of induction for more people and newer people to be a part of this module. He's a resident of the Saharia Gaon, Moregaon district, and he is in custody. That in fact is a picture of him which was taken at the police station when he was apprehended and when he was arrested as well. He's an active member of both these terror organizations, and he obviously has been using these teachers, indoctrinating them to follow a terror path. Mustafa in fact acted as a financial conduit of the ABT in India as well. A number of organizations have been used and in fact more or less been employed to convert these funds, which are predominantly guised as educational funds. We're going to start the discussion. General Sehgal is with us. General Sehgal, if you can hear me, sir.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Right. This chatter about madrasas being misused is not something new. This has been going on for a very, very long time. We at NewsX have also spoken about it on a number of occasions. But now this is verified information coming in that 700 odd madrasas in this particular area were actually centers for, converting students into terrorists. What do you have to say to that? Is this an uncovering which has taken a lot of time, and perhaps the investigation into this direction needs to be sped up as well, because it's obvious that there are many more of these madrasas today all over the country and perhaps even in the subcontinent?
I'm in total agreement with you that it's been a long time that we've eventually come to a firm conclusion that these madrasas are the hotbed of terrorism in India. Most of the madrasas, instead of imparting education, are imparting education on how to carry out terrorist activities. This has been brought to the notice of the central intelligence agencies, the government of India, time and again for over the last 10 to 15 years. However, that notwithstanding, it's time that we now take action in a very, very firm manner, as suggested or as done by the Assam Chief Minister, where on a single occasion he has sealed 700 madrasas and sent the children to normal schools. Something similar ought to be done to the rest of the country, because we cannot accept this. Right from the time of Bin Laden, there has been an attempt to establish Al-Qaeda in India in a very major way. This has been assisted and abetted from across the border, both by Bangladesh as well as Pakistan. LET, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen, all have tried their very best to not only establish in a major way Al-Qaeda in India, but also ISIS. But thanks to the security agencies of states as well as the center, which have really strengthened themselves after the new government came into being and after the attack on Mumbai, that we've been able to thwart and ensure that none of their attempts succeed. But this is only half the way. We got to make sure that this doesn't carry on hereafter, because all in the eastern sector, particularly right from the Chicken Neck area, Siliguri, you've got a single railway line going all up to Arunachal, a single road line. On either side of these, every 5 to 10 kilometers, I've been there in the northeast for almost 14 years. Every 5 kilometers, there's a madrasa. And in the event of hostilities, what actions can be taken by these, if they are anti or inimical towards India, is something which is mind-boggling. Hence, under the circumstances, now that we've got clear-cut evidence, we must not stop half the way, and we must proceed in a very systematic and very professional manner to ensure that no harm whatsoever comes to India under any circumstances.
That is, to be taken with the utmost caution and concern. Because madrasas, as we've spoken in the past a number of times before, this has been, a rhetoric and a conversation which has happened many times, that madrasas need to be watched. They need to be, in fact, monitored. And look what we found in Assam.
You see, when we're talking about madrasas, these madrasas particularly belong to the border areas. Now, in this case, of course, you have to, when we're looking at Assam's demography, you see Assam's demography is itself a problem, because what has been happening is because of the influx of Bangladeshi Muslims that are happening in Assam, and it is being said the community, which is a minority right now, may even become a majority by, say, 2050. What has been happening is that there is kind of a quote-unquote, if I can use that word, seamless migration that happens between Bangladesh and Assam, primarily because it's very difficult to mark the border. There are rivers there and all. So, and apart from that, there is a very solid, there are 2 to 3 districts in Assam that are totally dominated by Bangladeshis. Bangladeshis who have, it is said that, now they have so many cards and all, but yes, their origin, what they know as, they are called Mias over there. So there is these districts that are dominated by these Mias who have strong Bangladeshi connection, and as a result of which what happens is that it's very easy to infiltrate these areas and infiltrate these certain pockets of population. And I'm in fact surprised that this particular module has been discovered now and not much earlier.
Right. Mr. Mani, are you surprised that this has been discovered now and not much earlier? There has been this general feeling that madrasas have been misused by a number of extremists in the past. There have been some busts, off and on. They haven't been regular. They've been very sporadic in nature. But this definitely is going to lend a different and renewed perspective for security agencies. Mr. Mani?
I would congratulate Himanta Bishwas for having taken the strong test of banning madrasa, threatening the children, and then coming down heavily upon madrasa. Why? Because it is right from 2005 onwards, the core group of security had flagged the mushrooming of madrasas on both sides of Indo-Bangladesh border, both in the Bengal as well as in Assam, as well as in Tripura and many other places. They were getting funds. It was there on the radar, but the political will was, I don't know why, lacking. What about Jayata Basu said is a very, very valid point. Mr. Brahma, who was Joint Secretary of Border Management, even at that time when we were all working together, had flagged this issue. Later on, he went on to become the Chief Election Commissioner. At that time, he had commented that 12 districts of Bangladesh, 12 districts of Assam have become Muslim dominated. This is former Chief Election Commissioner of India has already come on record, you can verify. Third is, the Kokrajhar riot was one of the first flags raised, but it was not taken to the logical conclusion. Kokrajhar riot, they had the Bangladeshi inclusion had come in along with that Bangladeshi terror unit which you had said. They had really rehabilitated people there. That was the first warning sign which our then government chose to ignore. So it is the 2012 Kokrajhar riots I am talking about. So that is the reason. At the same time, these border districts really require a lot of reinforcement. Okay, 35 kilometers BSF jurisdiction rule is okay, but ultimately the conviction rate, so many things have to go at a very fast rate, including the border fencing. Border fencing is happening, but I do not know what is the status there. We had some problem in the Meghalaya sector. We had some problem later on in Tripura sector also. But again, what General Sehgal said, that every 5 kilometers you will find a madrasa. If you travel from, say, Bongaigaon to Guwahati by road, it is visible all over the place. The demographic changes are happening. As again I report, it has been acknowledged even by the former Chief Election Commissioner of India that 12 districts of Assam have already turned into a Muslim majority state. So that is the reason it is alarming. And also the Bangladesh hand has been very, very prominent in not only pushing the illegal immigrants into Assam. Now after Hemanta Biswas has come, lot of changes have taken place, but otherwise they were pushing it a lot. And there are takers. There were political units within Assam which were lending them support. They would help them get the regularization or citizenship cards and all that. Ultimately, the solution is 1986 Assam Accord, which had said about the NRC. It has been Supreme Court monitored after Buyan couple had raised it in the Supreme Court and the NRC was intimated. Even at that time, there were a lot of real rights. But that is the only solution. I think it should be expedited and completely concluded. And since the Supreme Court has set the criteria, simply follow the criteria, you will come to a much better situation than what is there. On the developmental infrastructure front, after 2014 to 2018, lot of good things had happened. On overcoming the disaffection among the local people is, again, one of the points of disaffection is illegal influx of Bangladeshis into, basic point of disaffection is illegal influx of Bangladeshis not only into Assam, they are settling in Nagaland, you can find them in Mizoram, and Tripura is flooded with them. So that needs to stop. Otherwise, if you don't stop that part of it, you are sitting on a volcano, because the 1970, late 70s like situation, Northeast can again resurface. So we need iron head. For that matter, I congratulate at first Hemanta Biswa Sarma. I hope he will continue and sustain this momentum. Thank you.
Right. Absolutely. This momentum is what needs to be maintained. It should not die out. Mr. Ved Bhushan, if you're there with us.
Yeah.
Mr. Bhushan, big, shout out to, the security agencies who aptly investigated this nexus and who perhaps have also laid the way forward for a number of other states in the country in terms of what to do, with madrasas when they are suspected of indulging in terror activities.
विनीत, एनआईए का रिसेंट टाइम का ये बहुत बड़ा क्रैकडाउन है। इनके तमाम के हैंडलर्स पाकिस्तान में बैठे हुए थे। वो ऑनलाइन रिक्रूटमेंट जो अनएम्प्लॉयड यूथ हैं उनका कर रहे थे। अभी आप मदरसा टीचर्स की बात हो रही थी, मैं आपकी जानकारी में लाता हूं, इसमें 2 इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स भी थे, अनएम्प्लॉयड थे, वो भी इनका हिस्सा थे। वो तमाम वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग के थ्रू, तमाम सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू आपस में कनेक्टेड थे। और सरप्राइजिंग चीज ये है कि इसमें ये बात निकल कर आ रही है उनके डिस्क्लोजर से कि वो कश्मीर के कुछ लोगों के कॉन्टेक्ट में थे, क्योंकि उनका पर्पज इस दिल्ली को हिलाने का था, क्योंकि उनकी डिस्क्लोजर में ये आया है कि इंडिपेंडेंस डे और हमारा पार्लियामेंट सेशन चल रहा है, तो उनको कोशिश थी कि दिल्ली में आकर बिग एक्सप्लोजन्स करें, क्योंकि उनके पास जिस तरह से जिहादी साहित्य लिटरेचर मिला है, हथियार मिले हैं उनके पास से, लोकल आर्म्स मिले हैं, और जो तमाम जो इलेक्ट्रिक सर्किट से रिलेटेड चीजें उन्होंने मार्केट से खरीदी सारी रिकवर हो गई हैं। तो ना केवल केरल का जो एर्नाकुलम एरिया है और मुर्शिदाबाद, दोनों ही बड़े क्रिमिनली बड़े बदनाम एरिया हैं। इससे पहले यहाँ राइटिंग होती रही है, कम्युनल राइट्स हुए, बड़े लार्ज स्केल पर राइट हुए, और जो अलकायदा इंडिया सब कॉन्टिनेंट का ये जो ग्रुप है, स्लीपर सेल है, ये बहुत टाइम से एक्टिव था, परंतु एनआईए की कोई इंटेलिजेंस के आधार पर जिस तरह से उन्होंने तमाम दोनों स्टेट्स के अंदर बड़ी मात्रा के अंदर जो रिकवरीज की हैं और अरेस्ट की हैं, ये वाकई में एक बहुत बड़ी कामयाबी है एनआईए की। और तमाम जो चीजें हैं अब जल्दी ही निकल कर आएंगी, बहुत प्रिलिमिनरी स्टेज पर है। इनकी तमाम जो इनके व्हाट्सएप चैट है, इनके पास से जो सिम कार्ड्स मिले हैं, लैपटॉप्स हैं, फोन्स हैं, तमाम की स्क्रूटनी होगी, उनका चेक किया जाएगा, लेबोरेटरीज में भेजी जाएंगी, उसके बाद पता लगेगा कि किस तरह से चैट करते थे, क्योंकि ये कभी भी डायरेक्ट चैट नहीं थे, इनके केवल वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग और व्हाट्सएप चैट आ रहे थे। तो तमाम चीजें अभी इन्वेस्टिगेशन की बहुत शुरुआती स्टेज है, और ये चीजें होती है पब्लिक डोमेन में जल्दी लाइव भी नहीं जाती, क्योंकि जिस तरह से इंडिपेंडेंस डे वेरी क्लोज था, बहुत नजदीक था, पार्लियामेंट सेशन है, बहुत सारी सेंसिटिव इंफॉर्मेशन होती हैं जो एनआईए अपने पास तक समेट कर रखती है, पब्लिक डोमेन में नहीं आती और आनी भी नहीं चाहिए। अदरवाइज काफी चीजें हड़कंप जैसा एक माहौल क्रिएट हो सकता है अक्रॉस इंडिया कि इंडिया के अंदर क्या चल रहा है। और जो हमारे पाकिस्तानी हेडलर्स हैं, उनकी फेलियर है इसके अंदर कि हमारी एजेंसीज ने टाइम रहते उनको डिफ्यूज कर दिया, उनके तमाम जो मंसूबे थे उनके लिए एक बहुत बड़ा सेटबैक है। और हमारी पुलिस और इन्वेस्टिगेटिव एजेंसीज के लिए इट्स ए बिग डे, क्योंकि ये क्रैकडाउन बहुत बड़ा क्रैकडाउन है। अभी जैसा सीएम साहब के बारे में बता रहा था, उनकी अपनी पॉलिटिकल सोच हो सकती है, मदरसों से कुछ ना कुछ तो कहीं लिंक है। तमाम चीजें ये तमाम इन्वेस्टिगेट करने की जरूरत है और अब एक्शन की जरूरत है। यदि मदरसों के 6 टीचर्स यदि इस तरह के लिटरेचर और इस तरह की ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन स्टूडेंट्स को दे रहे हैं, उनके माइंडसेट को किस तरह से भड़काया जा रहा है, डिसरप्ट किया जा रहा है, डिस्ट्रैक्ट किया जा रहा है, वो स्टूडेंट्स नहीं रह जाते, वो एक तरह से टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चला रहे हैं, वो स्लीपर सेल्स हैं। अब ये पब्लिक डोमेन में जल्दी आने वाले टाइम में उम्मीद है इनके जो कश्मीर से लिंक है वो भी इन्वेस्टिगेट होने के बाद में और ज्यादा अरेस्ट होंगी। इसमें काफी एक्सपेक्टेड है कि अभी लार्ज स्केल पर अरेस्ट होंगी, क्योंकि इसकी तमाम जानकारियां जहां से कॉन्टेक्स्ट में थे वो तमाम चीजें खंगाली जाएंगी और हो सकता है कि आने वाले टाइम में इससे भी बड़ा क्रैकडाउन साबित हो।
जी, बिल्कुल ठीक कहा आपने। जनरल सहगल, डू यू थिंक दैट देयर इज गोइंग टू बी more stealth involved in terms of these madrasas operating under the radar of the security agencies? Now, this kind of a module has been busted, and if that is going to be the case, how technically and skillfully do we have to be more sound to smell out and sniff out something like this in other parts of the country as well?
This has been a very interesting case where first rate and a very professional surveillance had been launched. This surveillance was continued over a long period of time, and only once they had identified the entire linkages did they actually get down to arrest them. And in a single action, they've done themselves and done the security agencies, both in the Assam state as well as central agencies, proud. Having said that, the security agencies are very alert across India, both the central and state. There is a first rate coordination between them, but now there has got to be a political will by the center as well as by the state governments to ensure that it is carried to its logical conclusion. We cannot allow these terrorists or these agencies or these madrasas to cause chaos and mayhem in the country and or disturb the peace and tranquility of the nation. Hence, we've got to do it in a very sophisticated manner, wherein under those circumstances does a community feel that we are targeting them. We are not targeting any community at all. All communities are patriotic, all communities have fervor, all communities have passion, and all countries love India as much as any other community. But that notwithstanding, under no circumstances must any community feel that the government is acting in a very strong manner against a particular community. It's not against them. We are acting against those who are harbingers of mischief and troublemakers as far as India is concerned. And we are only ensuring the safety and peace and tranquility of all Indians who reside within the geographical space of India. And under these circumstances, the governments must show necessary skill, and they have the technological reach today. They have all the agencies that are required. They are already in place. as I said earlier, the coordination is first rate right from Kanyakumari to Kashmir and from east to west. All that they got to do is act in a very concerted manner, very swiftly and very strongly. Every time, it's prior to the Independence Day or prior to the Republic Day, we invariably burst these modules, and thereafter there's a period of laxity. Now we must not allow laxity under any circumstances. If you remember, just before the Republic Day, similar modules had been burst even in somewhere around Delhi and in close to in UP and Haryana, etc., close to Delhi. Now we've done it in Assam.
Okay.
Next time we'll do it.
All right, so we've almost run out of time. I'm going to take a short concluding thought from Joyita Basu and conclude the debate. Joyita?
Yes, you see, when you are looking at madrasas in particular, those in the border areas are of particular concern, and it is not just in Assam, it is happening in Bengal as well, and also it has been flagged by the security agencies. It's been happening along Nepal border in UP, and I think there has been a sudden spurt in the growth in the number of madrasas over there. And what has happened, we know that Nepal is an area where the ISI operates without any, with impunity. Now, and it is very easy to cross over between Nepal and India. So, as a result of which, what happens is that one has to keep an eye, the security agencies, in fact, the UP government also, they are keeping an eye on the madrasas along Nepal border, because along the other side of the border also, a lot of Islamist activity is believed to be taking place. And so, I would say in the border areas in particular, a special attention needs to be given to the madrasas.
All right. On that note, we're going to dip into a short break, but definitely a wake-up call for all security agencies looking to bust these modules, including the ones that are being found in madrasas.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.